All right, I'm going to show you how to use OnShape to create a more advanced wind turbine blade design in this awesome online CAD program. So when you open up OnShape, it will give you a menu like this, and what we're going to do is create a new document. And we will call that document Advanced Wind Turbine Blade. Now, when using OnShape, the very first thing you want to do is check your units. And I always like to have the students draw on the units they're most familiar with. You can click on the three lines over here, and you can change your workspace units. It can be inches or foot or millimeters. My students are most familiar with centimeters, so I will demonstrate that today. Now, once my units are checked, I can click on the green button and check that off. Now, using my sketch from earlier in my brainstorm, I'm going to design a wind turbine blade that is around 200 millimeters long. Now, when you start drawing in OnShape, what you'll do is you'll sketch, and it wants to know what plane would you like to sketch in. And our first plane that we will sketch in will be this front plane. We'll click there, and then now you'll notice the tools have changed now that I am sketching. So what we'll do with our advanced wind turbine blade is we'll start with the shaft that will go into the hub on the generator. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, and we're going to start that at the origin. I'm going to click and just draw a circle. Now that it's drawn, we can go through and dimension it accordingly to the size for the hub. And it should be around a 1/4 inch dowel that would fit in the hub. So I'll grab my dimension tool up here, and we can actually make that a 1/4 inch. So I'll pull over here, and a 1/4 inch converted into millimeters is 6.3 millimeters or 0.63 centimeters. So there's our circle for the shaft that will go in the hub. Now that I've sketched it, I'm going to click on the green button and say OK. And what we can do now is extrude that the distance that we need for the shaft. So what we're going to use is another tool up here called extrude, and we will click on that face of the circle, and then we can pick the distance to extrude. And it's going to defaultly extrude to 2.5 centimeters, and we'll just change that to 5, and we should get a nice 5 centimeter shaft there. All right, now this is one of the advanced functions here. We're going to click OK. And now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a profile of the blade that we want. In this profile, we're going to draw about 150 millimeters from our front plane, or 100 millimeters from this surface here. So we're going to use a tool over here, and this tool is called plane. And what we can do is we can create a parallel plane to draw from. So we're going to offset the front plane, and we're going to offset that 15 centimeters. You can see out here that new plane has been created. So now that we have that new plane, we're okay with it. We'll click OK. And now we can change our point of view for our drawing surface to the front. And you can see here, we can still see our shaft. And what we can do now is draw on this front plane. So I'll click on Sketch. We'll sketch on plane 1. I'm going to change my view to front. And this is where we can sketch this profile of our wind turbine blade. And what I'd like to do here is draw some sort of wing shape, some sort of aerodynamic shape. So I'm going to grab my circle tool, and I'm going to make a circle just a little bit bigger than what we have currently. I'm going to scroll, zooming in. And now I want to take my spline tool, and I want to draw some curves onto this to make it look like an airplane wing. So up here at the top, I'm going to start my curve. I'm going to kind of go out this direction, and then I'm going to do a real quick couple lines here, kind of give it a little bit of a cup, and then we'll end it here tangent to that. And then, so there's our profile that we want. If you're not happy with it, you can click on some of these dots, you can click on some of these points and change the shape of it to make it a little more aerodynamic if you like. And then what we need to do is trim this middle line here off the circle. So I'll use the scissor tool and trim away that line. Now that we have that done, we'll click OK. And now I'm going to change my view again. I'm going to use this little diamond. We're going to change it back to isometric. Now, this is the really cool tool that I'm excited to share with you. This function is called the loft function. And what we'll do is we'll click on the profile of the end of the shaft here, and then we'll click on the profile of our wing. And what it will do is it will create that profile to go from a circle to our wing. And I'm really happy with that, so I'm going to click OK, and we can scroll around and look at what that now looks like. So this is definitely a more advanced wind turbine blade. All right, so I'm going to change that back to isometric. And then now I need to finish the blade because overall we have 50 millimeters here, we have 100 millimeters here, and I want to create another new plane that's another 50 millimeters from the end. So the overall length of our turbine blade is 200 millimeters. So I'm going to click on plane, and we're going to offset. We can offset off of plane 1, and we can offset that 50 millimeters or 5 centimeters. And you can see now we've got that new plane for the end of our turbine blade. We're going to click OK. I will now go ahead and sketch again in that plane 2. I'm going to change my view to look at the front. And now I'm going to just draw a small circle on that. And then click OK. And from here, what we can do again is use that really cool loft tool, and we can loft from here down to the end of our circle. I kind of recommend ending your turbine blade in a circle instead of a point, just for the 3D printer and for the CAD work. So we'll use our loft tool again. We'll click on the surface of our turbine blade here. We'll click on the surface at the end, and then we'll create that. And if I click OK, you can see that we have I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You can see that we have a really neat turbine blade that we've designed now. You can go through and put as many of these profiles in that you want. I have only 1, 2, 3 profiles with only one really big wing shape. If you wanted to, you could put several more within here and really make this an advanced looking turbine blade. Now that I'm done with that, the next step would be to prepare this file for 3D printing and exporting it as an STL. Now, really quickly, if you want to go back and change any of the parts of your design, you can always come back here to your timeline, and you can actually click and double click on these steps along the way and make edits to those. And those edits will go through all of your parts. So if you want to change your diameter here, you could, and it would change everything else from there. So it's a really neat way to actually go back in time and edit what you've created if you're not happy with something that you've made. All right, good luck, and I hope that you've come up with a really neat wind turbine blade that you're very happy with. And my last step will be to rename this, and I'm going to put my name. Good luck designing.